Hey guys, welcome back to another vapor honing and vapor blast manufacturing video. Today I'm standing beside the VB2820. If you watched our previous video where we actually talked about the acquisition of vapor blast manufacturing, you saw this machine inside of their research and development center. Now, of course, it's been moved back here to Lincolnton. We've studied and used this machine quite a bit, but I wanted to show off this little machine because it's truly a great work center, from even your small shop setting all the way up to large industrial workplaces. This thing truly foots the bill for any of them, and I kind of want to show that off in a video real quick today. Okay, so if you are more familiar with our lineup here at Vapor Hunting Technologies, you'll notice that this machine falls in between the 700 and the Weekend Warrior. Those are our cabinets that are intended for hobbyist use. This machine definitely falls on the other end of the spectrum. Even though, again, it's around that same size, it's constructed of a thick gauge stainless steel, especially the hopper, and it also has their cast external, very durable pump. This thing is designed to be put into a workflow and be used continuously, nonstop, all day. And it's definitely done that. This machine is actually a little bit older, but they've used it in their showroom for probably over a decade at this point. But something extra that this machine has is this little edge here. This machine is actually made to sit at and blast. A lot of times it's actually referred to as the sit-in home, still referring to this exact same machine. You can take a stool, put it in front of it, and it makes it so much easier for you to sit here and work and blast. That way you're not getting fatigued like you typically would if you're standing up. When you're seated, the window is perfectly in view. You also have both of your foot pedals down here, one for your window wash, one for your air to the blasting gun. That way you can sit and blast, and again, not have that fatigue like you typically would. I'm actually gonna fire this thing up and let you see how it operates. One cool thing I do wanna point out is that Vapor Blast has a fan tip nozzle. Now, if you've done any sort of vapor honing in the past, you know how awesome it would be to be able to expedite the process. Again, you don't want to sit here. If you can, instead of having a 1/4 inch blasting pattern, if you can make that a 1/2 inch, which is what this does, you're cutting your blasting time in half. So I want to show that off, and again, show a little bit off about how this machine actually operates. Now, the first thing I want to talk about whenever we're firing this machine up is that it actually has a built-in exhaust fan. That's what you're hearing whenever I turn this on. Now, there is a filter on the interior of the machine that's built into that fan to make sure that you're not pulling mist out of the machine, and also you're leaving the media in there as well. You are going to pull some water vapor out, but it does cut down on that a lot. But it's mainly to keep media retention inside the machine. The other thing is, and this is something that we'll probably modernize as we reproduce these machines, is currently the pump is actuated by a switch on the back. So that's what you just heard kick on, and we are actually agitating and spinning that pump currently. As you guys can see, we're getting great flow out of this nozzle. Again, it's taking up the entire end of the blasting tip. We're running a 1200 aluminum oxide in here right now, so it's not an aggressive media at all. But I do want to demonstrate how this machine works and how that nozzle works on this little metal coupon here. Now, this is just some standard aluminum, but I'll go ahead and throw that inside. Again, just so you guys can see the strip of how this thing blasts. With our current air setup, we're going to be running around 60 PSI. I don't know CFM requirements for this machine. Let's see what this thing can do. That's insane. That is crazy. Hopefully that shows up well on camera. I did 2 passes on this top section, but you guys can see it is truly an inch wide strip that we're blasting on this part. It's doing it in a matter of seconds. Now, this 1200 aluminum oxide, you can kind of see that the water sticking to it. It is creating a surface roughness that's improving the adhesion there, so the water is trying to stick. But you can definitely see the matte versus the shiny. I'll go ahead and do another strip on the back, and I'll show you guys how this looks after being dried. That's insanely quick. So one thing I do want to mention, because I'm sure you guys saw it, I don't think this nozzle's seated all the way in here as we were getting a little bit of leakage. That really won't affect the finish very much. We're just getting a little less slurry flow out the actual end of the nozzle. But again, what we were able to do is pretty wild for that just being one pass, especially the amount of volume of the actual part that we were able to blast. One thing that I appreciate a ton about this machine is its window rinse. So as you can see, we've done a little bit of blasting here, didn't really have a ton of backsplash, but you can see where it's fogging up the window. Is that not insane? I mean, it legitimately takes everything off the window in one press of the foot pedal. To me, whenever you're sitting here and blasting for hours, being able to see what you're doing clearly is just a huge step in the correct direction. But with that being said, I do have the part here. I've rinsed and dried it. You guys can see this is where I did the 2 passes, followed by a single pass here on the bottom. And that's truly an inch wide section there that we've done. That's crazy. I would like to take this under the microscope and see what our surface roughness readings are, just to see if it's within what we would consider to be spec. Also to show you guys some visuals of what's happening here on the surface with that 1200 aluminum oxide. That's a pretty niche abrasive. We don't typically use it, but we did have a customer that was specifically asking for it for a vapor blast application. So that's one thing I do want to mention, is that if you guys are looking to try our free application testing, we can get abrasives in that we think will work for you, or if you're required to use a certain abrasive. If you don't know what our free application testing program is, whether you're a hobbyist, a small shop, or a large industrial corporation, and you want to test vapor honing, parts washing, hydroblasting, sandblasting, whatever it may be on your part, we can do that for you for free to make sure that you're going to get the best process for your application. But with that being said, let's go check this out under the microscope. All right guys, this is the part that we just blasted. I put it underneath our microscope here at 400 times magnification. But on the left side here, this is the before image. You can see all of the inconsistencies in the surface. On this right-hand side, that is what it looks like after one pass in the 2820 using that 1200 aluminum oxide. Now, I tried to go towards the center here so that you could see what this piece looks like, but I did move around and take some readings of the entire area. It looks very consistent, which again is wild because you're blasting with that 1 inch wide pattern. If you guys have any questions about not only the abrasive, but the machine, the setup, how we're getting these results, again, please make sure you either comment below, we'll make sure to answer your question, or if you do want to call in and get specifics, you can call us at 828-202-5563. But make sure you guys do not forget to take advantage of our free application testing. That's how we validate these parts for you for free, so that you know that you are getting the absolute best results for your money. Again, our number is 828-202-5563. If you guys like this kind of content, please give us a thumbs up. Check back in next time. We'll see you next time.